I genuinely believe just love it. Just work hard and love it. Like, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in now unless I didn't genuinely love cricket. Like, it's the number one thing I think of when I'm going to sleep, when I wake up in the morning, like cricket. And that's the same with everyone. Like, if your kind of love for the game isn't there, your drive, your desire, any kind of interest in making it, let alone not having the kind of skill set or ability, all goes out the window.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Series 2 of the Fitzness Academy podcast. I am very gratefully joined. I say it all the time because I'm extremely lucky to have again Dan Douthwaite here on the podcast. Dan, professional cricketer for Glamorgan, and obviously amazingly again participated in the 100 last year again, mate. Dan, thanks for coming on.
Thank
really
you
appreciate
for having
it, mate.
me. I'm looking forward to it.
No worries, mate. Now this is an interesting one, okay? Because in Series 2, mate, I'm trying to come up with as creative of sort of icebreaker questions as possible. And I'm not joking. Yours was the most difficult, okay? Because you don't give anything away on social media whatsoever. Okay, so I got a bit creative, okay? And I'll put a couple of images on the screen. You get a bit creative with some celebrations. I don't know what the way to say it is. Sometimes it's a massive send-off. Sometimes it's like, yeah, come on.
I think it's more shock than anything else. I'm very surprised I get wickets. So, yeah.
It's a kick of the turf. So my question is going to be to you, so every single wicket you get for the rest of your career, what's it going to be? Massive send-off or just keep it mellow?
Keep it mellow, just because, I kind of look back on, watch myself play. I'll watch videos or highlights.
Yeah.
I watch myself carry on like, Jesus, what is he doing? Like, that's so embarrassing. You see other people do it, you're like, oh, I don't like him. But I do it. I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? But like, sometimes just the emotion takes over. Like,
I was going to say, yeah, just sometimes just like,
yeah,
it's gone or it's happened. So
yeah.
It's a good answer. That was a tricky one, mate. I'm not going to lie. I've been thinking for a couple of days. You don't give anything away, mate. Some of them makes it a little bit easier. I could have, but nothing at all. Anyway, so first of all, mate, we'll start with your journey through cricket specifically, mate, and then we'll crack on to everyone else after that. Obviously, it wasn't so straightforward going through academy, and then sort of making it through to Glamorgan, was it?
No, I wasn't kind of in that fortunate position that a lot of people find themselves in, whether in some kind of county setup or an academy. So, nothing really kind of worked out for me pre-uni. So I thought, I still wanted to be a cricketer. I like to refer to it as my unrealistic dream back in those days. So I thought I'd give myself the best chance. And I went to Cardiff Met to be a part of the MCCU setup there, just to, try and put myself in a setup that is as close to professional cricket as possible without being one, which at the time was the MCCU. You kind of get training all week, looked after by S&C coaches and the head coach, and you're playing all over the country, and you play against first-class counties in first-class games. So that was a bit of a no-brainer for me. And then kind of on the side as well, I would actually get a degree out of it as well. So I had something to fall back on if that unrealistic dream didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. And then, I find myself in my third year of uni playing against the first class teams. I think Sussex and Glamorgan were the two I did well in. Hitting runs, taking wickets and those, and then all of a sudden I'm contracted a week later, which, I was as shocked as anyone, but I haven't looked back since, yeah.
That's impressive that you say it in that fashion, because I think obviously that's what the scheme is there for. Obviously, thankfully enough to be at Cardiff Met as well at the moment. I understand obviously what some of the mates of mine and having the opportunity to trial as well beforehand, it's incredible, the opportunity. And then obviously once you actually, it may not seem like it, but you're actually training through the winter and then obviously going to play first class games. Now, obviously, it was 27 first class for list day and then 29 T20s. Was it were you sort of a little bit sort of not starstruck in a way, a bit surprised as to how quickly it sort of came about after this camp?
Yeah, I think it was mental. Like, it actually kind of came about while I was on the scheme as well. I kind of had my first meeting to talk about contract and sign it there and then with the director, Mark Wallace, and he said, "We're not bringing you on board to fill a space or prove yourself in second team. We want to chuck you straight in." And I was a bit like, right, okay. I was going into that meeting thinking like, I'm going to sign my first professional contract. I'm going to play twos all year, and then I'll work hard on my game. And next year I'll push for a first team spot. And I played all season in the first team, and the way it panned out, yeah, it's a really weird one to look back on. I obviously wouldn't have had it any other way, but it happened very quickly, and I was, like I said, as shocked as anyone.
Do you look back on it now and almost feel glad that it's happened that way, looking from almost from the outside in, looking back on how it's gone? Do you almost feel glad it's happened that way, or would like sort of maybe looking at someone else who's traditionally been through the county setup, do you reckon it's do you prefer it the way it's gone?
No, I wouldn't have had it any other way. I think first and foremost, if I was on an academy and got signed there and then out of that, like a lot of the young talent you see stay out, probably would have been me not going to university. So yeah, 100% would not be set up for a life after cricket with a degree from a university. And I had a hell of a lot of fun at university as well. So I think I definitely got the best of both worlds. And I was lucky enough to play the whole of my first year, like I said. So I feel like I caught up with a lot of people instead of, having to grind it out in the twos and go from there. I was straight in. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned sort of almost like enjoying your uni life, because a lot of, obviously, I think everyone from the outside in probably, no, you're a professional sportsman. It has to be sort of strict. But I was actually speaking to Harrison Ward about this the other day, and he kind of said that after he got his opportunity last year, he almost had a little bit of a break, and then he's gone into the winter feeling 10 times better. Did that almost break from, possibly, obviously not break because you went into the scheme, but almost did that sort of second uni experience allow you to sort of maybe not find your love for the game? Obviously, it's a bit sort of cliche that, but obviously find that, obviously, you did have that balance between cricket and a backup at the end of the day if it didn't work out. Yeah,
massively. I think, anyone that asks me, I'll always say I wouldn't be a professional cricketer right now unless I went to Cardiff Met. And, I looked around other universities. I was meant to go to Anglia Ruskin to be a part of the Cambridge MCCU, or I was looking, in Durham or Leeds. But I don't know what it is about Cardiff. I genuinely don't believe I'll be a professional cricketer unless I was at Cardiff Met. And the way it panned out, I can't, looking back on it, really see it having panned out any other way, any other setup. There was something about the opportunities I got, Glamorgan being right on the doorstep. They thought they'd take a punt on me. It kind of worked out, and now here I am. I'm not entirely convinced that would have happened anywhere else.
It's crazy to think back on it, I suppose, after obviously thinking about it, because obviously you're probably obviously a way better judge, you obviously prepare better judgment than me based on how you think it's gone. But were you ever sort of expecting before the start of that season, where I'm just going to finish uni and then go into sort of your sports management career, I suppose?
Yeah, 100%. I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. Like, I don't know how many times I said it's like, it was my unrealistic dream. It's like, you want to be an astronaut when you're a kid. So I thought, I'll give myself one more year of trying, and then we'll go from there. My mum works in recruitment. She finds people jobs for a living. She'll be able to sort her own son out. But yeah, I went into my last year of uni completely blind and aimless, not knowing what I wanted to do. I was just going to enjoy it, get a degree, and play cricket and trial and see if anyone liked the look of me. And then you fast forward 5 months, 6 months from September, I was like signing on a dotted line. I was like, wow, that's moved pretty quick.
Learning based on one of the previous episodes we did last time on the Fitzness Academy podcast, we did an episode based on what makes a good coach, and it spoke about experience versus sort of education or training. So in your respect then, did you learn more from when you first got into the setup at Glam or Glamorgan versus your stuff with the scheme and stuff beforehand?
I think being on the scheme in the first place kind of prepared me to go into it, like instead of of just wandering in aimlessly. I was actually in some kind of setup, albeit not a county one, that tried to kind of model their training and everything they do around how a first-class county would do it, to prepare the students and players to kind of, fit into that group a bit better if they do, make the jump into professional cricket. But I've been lucky enough to play, first team my whole career thus far, and I think there's been an element of learning on the job a lot. It's not, kind of going into it knowing exactly what to do and how to do it. I'm still gaining experience. I'm still very raw, but I know a lot more from when I first joined the club, and I genuinely believe that's going to keep continuing because I've played 3 seasons with Glamorgan now, and I've learned more and more each year, and I'm going into this year with a lot more knowledge than I was this time last year. So yeah,
that's brilliant. I love how you said obviously how you're sort of almost learning on the job, which is incredible for someone obviously in that professional environment. I know we speak about sort of how quickly that that contract came, or sort of how quickly the jump to professional cricket came. You've had another jump as well, obviously last season, being able to be part of Manchester Originals and 100. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that came about?
So I wasn't obviously picked up in the initial draft, and then went into the beginning of last season. We had the T20 Blast. Didn't, really start how I wanted to, especially with the bat. With the ball, I was always pretty consistent last year in the T20s, and then kind of my batting started to click towards the back end. Stats went up, I started getting noticed, and then it must have been the second last game. Who did we play? We had someone before Hampshire, I'm not sure who it was. Somerset. We had Somerset at home, second last game. Straight after that, I had a phone call from Simon Katich, who said he was watching, and wanted to pick me up as one of the wildcards to join in with the Manchester boys. So I had the Hampshire game 2 days later, and then the next night I was travelling to London to meet up with the Manchester Originals. Yeah, so that was mental how quickly that came about.
How did you, again, another sort of mental, sort of quick sort of turnaround after that, I suppose. Was there a massive difference going, and no disrespect to Glambo whatsoever, was there a massive jump from going somewhere from Glamorgan, obviously it's no slouch, obviously having sort of Marnus Labuschagne and sort of Michael Neeser there this year, and then going to Manchester Originals, where you obviously had this massive franchise tournament now starting? Was there a big jump, not so much quality wise, but sort of maybe the jump up then?
I wouldn't say like there's a massive jump in regards to like individual players and the players you come across. Like there's a lot of the guys I know and have played with and against in that Manchester Original side that play county cricket, and Glamorgan's squad isn't beneath par or beneath any other one of them, but it's more, I think for me, the depth that the 100 bring, something about 4 overseas being in a team, and then you have your England players as well. It's not something you'd always get in county cricket, and being in that franchise setup where they are launching money about to bring over the biggest players in the world to try and win this trophy. The standard of the cricket and the teams was incredible. Instead of having your star players like Glamorgan do as well, you kind of hinted at Marnus and Ness, and we've got Colin Ingram and Hamish Rutherford last year. Like they're no slouches whatsoever. Like one of them's number 1 in the world at the moment.
Yeah, but
it's just the difference for me between having 2 overseas in county cricket compared to your 4 in the 100, and then a big encouragement for all your England players if available to play, instead of having to play county cricket. So yeah, I think it was more just the standard of the teams through more depth, as opposed to coming across individual rock stars like, wow, I'm playing with Carlos Brathwaite. Yeah. It's like I played against him this year. Yeah. It's just more of them.
Did you learn a lot from those players then? Obviously, like I said, it's quite crazy to think about. Obviously, like you said, you just gone over it again. No slouch whatsoever. I wasn't obviously like I said, no disrespect to Glam boys. Obviously, I think we can agree. Obviously, county cricket is difficult to say. Obviously, compared to the 100, based on sort of people watching or the attraction it gets. I know, obviously, if you're a true cricket fan, you can watch and sit and watch it, which is fantastic. But I think the 100 was brilliant. But obviously, for the young kids, the amount of young kids watching, I think it was a record for the amount of first game attendance or something like that, which was brilliant. In that respect, then, would you say you obviously were you expecting that sort of? Oh, it's a tough question to ask because you actually answered that one pretty well, mate. To be honest,
Thank you.
do you think you were ready for that call up when it happened then, based on sort of the experience you had from Glam as well in those three comps?
I think I came out of the 100 a completely different player in the way I kind of view the game, especially the short format T20 cricket. Was I ready? I think so. If we're going purely on form, like my T20 bowling and batting, when I got the call and I travelled down, had my first training session, was ready to play, I think my T20 game was in the best position it had ever been. You know, I'd played 3 years of T20 cricket and never managed to put batting and bowling together. I was always there or thereabouts with one of them. I thought second half of the blast last year, I really started to excel in both without blowing smoke up my arse. You know, I felt in a really good place, so I was ready to be in that environment. So yeah, I do think I was ready in that sense. Yeah.
Saying that's incredible to hear, because obviously when you speak about sort of being called up last minute or sort of maybe getting the nod very, very quickly for Glam, like we said beforehand, did you ever, if we sort of take away what would have happened there, maybe obviously the Glam story is a bit different, but if we're speaking, still staying on Manchester original story, if that wasn't to have happened and maybe we go into this winter and you're preparing for next season, do you reckon you would still have been in that position to improve, ready for next season, or do you reckon that the 100 kind of changed that, your perspective on the way that you've gone into this winter?
Oh, I'd still be a better player coming out of last season. Like I said earlier, I'm coming out of every season with more experience, more kind of little golden nuggets of knowledge from our overseas or coaches, and I'm coming out of my shell more. I'm not scared to ask questions to experienced international cricketers who I rub shoulders with, or, you know, say something that might sound absolutely stupid to the head coach, but I'm actually really curious about knowing that about my batting. You know, I used to be scared of asking those questions. So, you know, in that sense, I think I'm putting myself out there to, you know, gain more experience and learn a lot more. But then, you know, having gone to 100 and being in a new environment with new coaches and all these superstar players in England, cricketers, like, there's no way I'm not coming out of that with more experience and knowledge. Like, I made sure my time there, if I wasn't playing, you know, even if we're not training, we're just at the bar or we've gone out for dinner, I'm asking so many cricket related questions. A lot of people telling me to shut up, like, can you just ask me while we're training or something? But I was desperate to get as much information as possible. So I came out of that with a lot, which I'm really looking forward to putting into my T20 game next year.
That's an incredible mentality to have, because I think I'm very much similar in that respect, saying when obviously you got the opportunity there to sort of use it as much as you can. So it's staying was obviously that sort of side of things and saying, right, yeah, I've got this addictive mentality. If you could have sort of compared yourself sort of pre-100 and post-100, what were the, obviously you say cricketing wise, but in terms of sort of the way you've come out as an individual, and it might be a bit cliche to some people, but did it change you as a person, thinking that obviously, yeah, you can make it at that level of, or that sort of level of franchise tournaments and things like that?
Yeah, I'm still the same bloke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 100%, like, having gone to it and umming and ahhing, am I ready? Do I deserve to be here? I'm a kind of wild card pick. Am I just filling spaces here or what? And then leaving it, it gave me a kind of real hunger and drive to want to be there with that team next year. And, you know, I think I am ready. And I think I'm only getting better. Like I said earlier about blowing smoke up my arse again, but I do genuinely believe that. Some people might call me deluded, but I think I am ready to go back into that position and, hopefully have a bit more time on the pitch.
Well, it's that element of delusion, like you say, which probably motivates you a little bit more. No, I suppose it sound a bit cliche, but someone tells you to do something you can't do, or someone tells you can't do something, you want to go and do it. Are you very sort of intrinsically motivated in that respect? Extrinsically motivated, people saying, "Oh no, you can't do it," or is it very much within and being like, "Right, no, I know I can do it."
It's a hard one. I think it is more for myself. Obviously, every sports person gets told they can't do something, and that winds them up, and they want to go prove someone wrong. But I'm more, doing it for my own reasons. And then you kind of spoke about, also being a hint like borderline delusional. I think every cricketer or every athlete ever is delusional. If you don't believe you are right up at the top, who else is going to believe that? So I think you've really got to learn to love yourself and what you bring to the table before anyone else can start doing that. So I probably do think I am a bit better than what I am, or other people might view me, but I think everyone does. I think it's healthy to, view yourself in that best light, but, also balance out with being critical, when you don't do something right. But yeah, I guess I'm delusional.
No, I think it's like you said, you've hinted at it right there. I mean, like I said, and we spoke about it a little bit sort of beforehand, and sort of how that could sort of almost help you in that respect. If you can't believe you're not going to do something, you're not really going to almost work as hard to do it. Oh no, I can't do this, I'm not going to bother working as hard for it. So I think that element of delusion probably helps a lot of people, and it's not just in sport as well. I think everything you do. So moving on from that, we're going to get a bit, we're not going to be as serious. We're going to, so we see the golf clubs in the background, mate. Is what are you doing spare time wise when you're not playing cricket, you're not training for
not golf, they're not even mine.
Are they not?
I've got nothing to do with me.
What you got up to? You got a dog on Instagram. No, I've seen. You seen you got a dog? No, on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got myself a dog for having finished university, having a steady job with a steady income, and I've now got a house. I was like, what's the next step? I need some kind of responsibility. I don't think me and my girlfriend are yet in the position to have a kid. So next best thing. I thought I was mature and responsible enough to look after a dog, which I can now guarantee you I'm not. But yeah, Hugo, my little cockapoo, he's 1.5 now. He's spending my time when I'm not training, and I love it because I'm actually inherently quite a lazy bloke. So, he manages to get me out of the house for a few hours a day, go on a run with him, go on a walk, take him to the beach or something. So yeah, if it wasn't for him, it's not like he just saved my life or anything, but he's definitely keeping me active because when I haven't got anything on, like today is a Wednesday, I've got no training, we're only training 4 days a week, I would happily sit there all day and binge watch Netflix, but I've got responsibilities, so I've got to take him out. So yeah, just taking Hugo out of the moment. Apart from that, my life is very boring.
Yeah. You mentioned that, but is like sort of balance between like sort of cricket and your everyday life important for you? Do you try and focus too much on cricket and then focus on the outside?
I think, yeah, balance for everyone's important, especially, everything's class when stuff's going well in cricket, and you can celebrate that and, be very positive when you're off the pitch or back home. But I think that balance aspect of it, when things aren't going well, you've got stuff to work on and you're not where you kind of want to be in your game, which for the majority of people is the majority of the cricket season. No one bangs hundreds or takes fifers every week. So, there is a time and a place to kind of put yourself first before the sport, especially when you got some downtime at home. So a big one for me. I only really go in the summer when the weather's nice, but I'm big into my fishing, just a bit of me time. I'll go fishing in the summer, basically writes off a whole day where I can sit there and just be by myself. So that's a big one for me. I know other people, love their golf, like my housemate Lorenzo. Whatever, it's massively important for people to wind down and have a bit of me time. however they do it is fair enough, as long as they aren't cricket 24/7, because that isn't healthy for anyone.
Yeah. Do you almost find yourself having to force yourself to just almost stop thinking about cricket? And obviously we speak about, or someone speaks about overanalyzing a bit too much. Do you ever have to almost stop yourself, or is it pretty natural for you to just go, oh no, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna go for a walk with the dog? Is it that easy for you?
I think it's quite tough, and you do have to force yourself. Like, if I've hit 100 or taken a fifer, I won't shut up about it for like 2 weeks, and rightly so. You can celebrate your success, and you can reflect on that, and you can be happy about that. I can go to bed with a smile on my face and wake up still with a smile on my face. But I think the biggest issue is when things don't go our way as cricketers, trying to overanalyze that and think about that in our downtime at home. When you do need to wind down, remove yourself from cricket, because it is a hell of a long season and a hectic schedule. You don't want to fry your head thinking of that when you do eventually have your downtime. So, I have to remind myself sometimes, like, I've got training on Thursday, it's Tuesday now, just don't think about it. Like, training's probably the place there and then to have a chat with the coach about it and kind of go from there and work on whatever it is, is bugging you. So you do have to really kind of force it sometimes, especially when the going's tough. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I was about to ask you a question. I've completely forgotten about it. I was so into tune with that and that question, mate. Oh my word. No, but anyway, so moving on to the last little points for you. I'm not going to keep you for too much longer. So obviously I think we can agree your journey sort of towards professional cricket's a little bit, I remember the question, being a little bit sort of undulating, I suppose. No, it's been a little bit sort of, you've gone to the ski, or you've gone to university, and then you signed professional. And then obviously, do you reckon, obviously, it takes a certain type of person to be a professional cricketer, or do you reckon, like we see, that's what the scheme's there for, isn't it? We see people signing for counties when they've not been at academies beforehand. Do you think it's a certain type of person to be a professional cricketer, or?
I think so, yeah. No one in their right mind would stand in a field for 4 days, all day, every day, and not be disheartened by a draw at the end of it. Like, cricketers are a pretty rare breed in that sense. But no, on a serious note, I think there is something, quite unique about cricketers, even though I joked about that previous statement. That's genuinely a thing. Like, when I tell people I play cricket for a living, they're like, oh my God, you stand there for 4 days and you can draw. I was like, yeah, I know, it's happened many a time. We've had many beers after it. Like, celebrating it as well. Like, we've just clinched onto a draw. Like, it's a World Cup final. But like I said, that season, when it does come round, is hectic. I don't see a lot of friends. I don't see a lot of family. Got no time for my girlfriend, which I love, she hates, for the whole of the summer. I'm kind of here, there, and everywhere, and there's not a lot of kind of me time until I get to the winter. It is full-time work non-stop for 6 months. So I think anyone that can do that, albeit professional sport, people will say we're entitled and privileged. I still think that's a heavy stint to do that.
Yeah.
Obviously injury or selection dependent for 6 months straight. So, I definitely think we're a pretty rare breed of humans. Yeah.
You mentioned injuries there. Obviously you don't have to get into detail, but does injuries play in your mind a lot, especially throughout the fixtures have just come out now for the county game? Do you ever look at that and sort of, again, don't mean to bring you down, does it almost worry you a little bit, with the amount of cricket that's played nowadays? I think they spoke about it in the news a couple of weeks ago, saying about how almost there's a lot of cricket packed in together, and now obviously with 100, does that obviously play a factor in your mind, do you reckon? Obviously, again, we're going into psychology a bit. I'm not very psychological whatsoever, but do you reckon that plays on your mind a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the schedule's hectic, and I've struggled for the past few years with my ankle. And, looking at that schedule, I'm not deluded. I'm probably not going to play every game after the chat I had with the club. spoken to them, the coaches and the physio and medical staff about being a bit more vigilant with my ankle, and maybe not having to play every game. But, as soon as my ankle does flare up, flagging it and getting the cortisone injection done, because I only did that once last year. I missed 1 week of cricket and then I was back playing fit, fine, ready to go again. And then when it did go again and I tried to hide it, I bowled some of the worst spells I reckon I've bowled since I was 12. I could have bowled better when I was 13 years old than what I did back end of last season, trying to play with an injury that I was covering up. So I think, it does scare me a bit, but I know there's, a process in place for me to flag up what's hurting, kind of get over it within a week or so, if it is ankle, because that's how long the injection takes to heal it. Then kind of going from there. So I think it's more of a management process when thinking, I'm built out of titanium and I can play every game this year. It's probably being a bit more conservative with it.
It's quite, I think you're quite a rare breed in that sense, because obviously I think a lot of people or I don't know, obviously I haven't spoken to all professional cricketers, but obviously go in and saying, oh no, I'll just cope with the season and obviously go from there. I think it's pretty rare how you've got that plan in place. If it does strike, I think obviously it'll probably help you a little bit more psychologically again, if the injury does come back.
Well, that was my exact thought process last year. Like, I'm just going to play with it. It's going to be absolutely fine. And then it got to a point where I was struggling to walk on it and I was expected to bowl 15 overs in a day. I was like, this isn't working, is it? So got the injection. I was absolutely fine within a week. And then I came back from the 100 with quite a sore ankle. And I thought, there's only 4 more games left in the season, 4 more 4 days. I'm going to be fine. And I tried to play through them, and it just wasn't beneficial for anyone, nor me or anyone else in the team trying to hide an injury. I'm getting whacked and I'm bowling 70 miles an hour because I can't run up as quick. I'm thinking about my ankle all the time. I can't brace my front leg, which I didn't realize is such a big thing, but that's actually where a lot of my pace comes from. And when I can't do that, technique, consistency, skills, everything flies out a window. Pace, nowhere. So I won't be doing that again. I did think, I could do anything last year, but I think I'm a bit wiser in that sense now.
That's fantastic. And then leading on to next season, then what's next for you is in sort of, I'm not going to say career again. That's a bit it's a bit far fetched. What's next for you up and coming then?
I think past few years without being, I don't know how to word it without sounding bad. I think the past few years without kind of throwing shade at Glamorgan, I felt a bit comfortable in the first team. I thought, I'm going to play. It'll be fine. Every format, every season, ever since they first put me in the first team. And now I look at the strength and depth of the squad and the signings we've made and all the all-rounders. I'm actually kind of fighting for a spot a bit this year, I think. So first and foremost, get myself into the first game of the season is what's next for me. If I could do that, I'll be pretty chuffed about that. And then, just going from there, putting my name forward and playing as much first team cricket for Glamorgan as possible this year. Trying to win games. See if I can get myself back to 100. We'll kind of go from there. We're waiting on that at the moment. And then, I think white ball, it's not a secret. It is, a bit more up my street. It's something I enjoy a bit more. So, big focus on my T20 form this year and seeing if I can be in the position to, put my name into a few drafts at the end of next year to try and get some white ball experience in other leagues. So,
That's fantastic, mate. And we'll conclude the podcast, mate. And obviously we get a bit motivational here. Do you have any advice for anyone in that similar position to yourself, either again at university, sort of maybe pre-university, maybe pre-academy days? What's your advice for probably someone who wants to be the next Dan Douthwaite or the next sort of professional cricketer? It's a tough one, but you
just love it. I genuinely believe just love it. Just work hard and love it. like I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in now unless I didn't genuinely love cricket. Like it's the number one thing I think of when I'm going to sleep, when I wake up in the morning, like cricket. And that's the same with everyone. Like if your kind of love for the game isn't there, your drive, your desire, any kind of interest in making it, let alone not having the kind of skill set or ability, all goes out the window. So just loving the game for what it is. You know, I find it mental that my full-time job is doing something I genuinely love, and I don't think a lot, like that many people can actually say that sometimes.
Yeah.
So just keep loving a game. At the end of the day, it is a bloke fucking ball, a bloke who's trying to whack it. If you can learn to love that, I'm sure everything else is going to fall into place.
Is that a big thing for you, sort of thinking in the future in your career, where you're like, right, maybe coming to the next sort of, I don't know, maybe signing a new deal? Would that play in your mind? Do you reckon, right, am I enjoying cricket? Do you reckon?
Yeah, massively. I don't think I would play cricket if I didn't love it.
Yeah.
There's so many sacrifices that I've made along the way, and I kind of alluded to earlier during the season when I don't see people or people I love or all of that stuff. And we're on the road for the best part of 6 months in the summer when all of my mates are in Ibiza and I'm in Northampton. There's my dog. But yeah, it's just stuff like that. Like we discussed it earlier, you got to be a pretty rare breed of human to enjoy it. But that's what I enjoy. And, you know, I think I'm going to keep doing that.
That's fantastic, mate. And again, I mean, shows kind of bloke that you are, that you're willing to come on the Fitzness Academy podcast at six at night, obviously preparing for training tomorrow, mate. So yeah, just again want to thank you very much for coming on, mate. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm not going to hint at it too much, but hopefully not the first. You guys will see Dan in the near future. And again, mate, thank you very, very much for coming on. Wish you the best of luck for the upcoming winter, mate.
Thank you for having me.
No worries.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's good fun.
No worries at all, mate. Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, again, a massive thank you for watching another episode of the Fitzness Academy podcast. That was an absolutely incredible insight. Again, second professional cricketer we've had on, and obviously, hopefully not the last. Obviously, it's not a cricket podcast, but it's fantastic to get an insight into the life of a professional cricketer. And obviously, a huge thank you to Dan for coming on and giving us that incredible insight. It's an incredible position that I'm in to be able to interview these amazing people. Not interview, again, it's not an interview, it's more sort of a podcast, nice and relaxed, for them to kind of let their sort of emotions be heard, not emotions, but their voice be heard. So again, a massive thank you, Dan. Again, apologies for any connection issues. Again, I'm trying my best to try and get that sorted ASAP. But again, massive thank you for listening. Stay tuned for next week's podcast. I'll catch you guys again soon. Take care.